think, act, and prosper. You are now tuned into the Money Level Show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Money Level Show, where we think, act, and prosper. And today we're going to talk about one of the most asymmetric investments of our lifetime. And I want to make sure that you all are able to get in early on this. And obviously some of these things that we're going to talk about isn't fully early, but you're still able to get in early enough to where you can make a huge amount of profit. So we're going to talk a little bit about one of the investments that I've been getting into lately. And this is not financial advice, but I want to kind of lay out just kind of historically of just the development of the internet and Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, and how we can profit from this, because we've already missed the boat on a lot of these investments. And so let's go ahead and get into it. So one thing to know is that Web 1.0 was created. This was the start of the internet. This was like the first web page that was created. You had photos, you had email. And so some people were very skeptical on the internet. I mean, it was a new change for a lot of people. It was a new technology. Some people didn't trust it. Some people didn't know what it was about. Some people didn't get involved. I mean, I know plenty of baby boomers that did not invest in Web 1.0. And so some of the ways that you could have invested in Web 1.0 was if you would have bought like Microsoft stock, AOL, Apple, IBM. And so a lot of these companies were involved with the startup of the internet and the revolution of the internet and how things were coming together. And so that was very important. So if people would have invested in these, they would have made a lot of money, right? They would have made a lot of money. I mean, obviously we had the dot-com bubble and things like that where people made a lot of money, but then people lost a lot of money. But if they would have still held on to those shares, they would be up a lot more today. And so that was Web 1.0. So then you had Web 2.0, which was the rise of social media, social interaction. So people were able to interact with each other through the internet, and people were able to post videos and pictures to each other, things like that. And so this was the rise of social media. And then you had peer-to-peer buying and selling. So you had the rise of companies like Amazon, eBay, Etsy, where people could buy and sell from each other directly, but you obviously had a middleman that was hosting a site and would obviously take their little cut of it, whether that be Amazon or whatnot. But the companies that really profited from this was like Google. So you had Google, who owns YouTube. You had Amazon, who was the biggest pretty much broker between peer-to-peer buying and selling, and they get their little cut of it or whatnot. And Amazon is pretty much impacting billions of people around the world. Then you had the rise of Facebook being able to interact socially with your friends, your family. You had a lot of other social media websites and things like that. So that was the rise of Web 2.0, where people were able to invest in these and make quite a bit of profit. And if you notice, as we transition into Web 2.0, a lot of Web 1.0 was improved. So you had the internet, which was improved. I mean, we went from dial-up to DSL to high-speed internet, and then now you got 5G coming out. The web pages were improved to where they can implement more codes and more types of interactive things they could put on websites, polls and things like that. Photos were improved. I mean, that's just the development of photography as well. And then emailing was improved too. So a lot of these things in Web 1.0 was improved when we transitioned to Web 2.0. And, Web 2.0 involved a lot of these things. And so people could have made a ton of money if they had invested in Google when it first came out, or Amazon or Facebook and things like that. So now we get to Web 3.0, and this is the trust and decentralization of internet. So right now, internet is very centralized because you buy your internet service from a provider. That provider can store data, can censor data, and things like that, and even sell your data as well. So I don't know if a lot of you read the fine print on your privacy notices and things like that, but there's a lot of stuff in there that they can do. And then you have apps like Facebook, who claims to be free, but if it's free, then you're the product. So they're selling your information and marketing certain ads to you. They're using your information so that they can target you with certain ads or whatever. I don't know if you all have experienced this, where you're having a conversation and then all of a sudden the ad pops up on Facebook and you're like, that is very weird. But there's times where you're searching stuff on your phone and then the ad pops up on Facebook or other social media sites. So that was pretty much what was going on. So the decentralization of it is very important. So you have blockchain technology, which blockchain, the blocks are pretty much data that is stored. And so you have computers all around the world that are pretty much mining and storing blocks and verifying blocks, and data is being stored on these blocks. And these blocks are almost impossible to hack or to steal from. And so that's a part of the decentralization. Instead of your internet provider or your social media app tracking your information and using it for their gain or whatnot. And so you have the blockchain technology, you have more live videos. We're seeing more lives come alive. I mean, we're seeing more live videos now. And then you have 3D. 3D is becoming more active. I don't know if any of you seen like the 3D photos they have now and things like that. I mean, even me being a real estate agent, there's times where you can do virtual walkthroughs of homes and you can see everything in 3D and you don't have to be there in person. And so 3D is going to be more huge. And then you have NFTs. NFTs are going to be very important, non-fungible tokens. So these are pretty much digital assets or digital information that is shared for the asset. And so like say like you own a painting in real life and you sell that painting, you can sell the rights to it through NFT, and then you can also receive royalties from it. Normally, if you sell a painting, you sell it for $1,000. Say like the painting becomes worth $1 million. The person that you sold it to owns that painting now, and they can sell it for a higher profit. So with NFTs, you're able to maintain royalties if your product is continuously being sold to others for more and more money. And then you also are able to put your music on with NFTs and all types of graphic artwork and things like that. So this is going to be very interesting going in the future to where your information is able to be stored on the blockchain in a decentralized way, whether that be the deed of your home or whether that be important information that you own, because right now it's stored with the county has to record it and things like that. But eventually in the future, it's going to be verified through the internet in a decentralized way. So decentralization is very important. Trust is very important. Then you have the implementation of smart contracts, which are able to be contracts between peer-to-peer without a middleman. And so Ethereum focuses a lot on smart contracts and things like that. So, and some of those investments for Web 3.0, obviously with Bitcoin, we've seen people were able to get into Bitcoin super early and were able to profit hugely based off Bitcoin going up in price. Ethereum, people were able to get in early and profit hugely as well. I mean, I was buying Ethereum at $150 last year. I wish I would have held on to it, but I didn't. And then the new one that I'm actually discovering is Filecoin. And so Filecoin is very important because Filecoin focuses on storage. And so anyone who wants to mine Filecoin, they can offer up some of their storage space on their hard drives for data. And this data is pretty much secure on another person's hard drive around the world, instead of it being secured with Facebook or the internet and such like that. And some people may say, oh, well, that's even more sketchy, having your data like that. And so a lot of this is actually computer codes and things like that that is being stored. And so this information is very important because whenever you're a miner of Filecoin, you're actually having to stake some of your money, some of your Filecoins, in order to show that you're actually going to have integrity with this. And so if you don't have integrity with any of the computer codes or the data that is stored on your hard drive, then your Filecoin gets slashed, you lose money. And so this is very important for the accountability versus like we see big tech, too big to fail, too big to jail, and things like that. And so the miners are actually decentralizing this information and this data and storing it on their hard drives all across the world. And it isn't like they can pick and choose whose data they get, like, oh, you have $1 million, I'm going to get your data. It doesn't work that way. And the data is very secure and protected. And so that is a very huge innovation in this space, as Bitcoin will become the layer, and you have Ethereum with smart contracts, and then you have Filecoin, which is able to store a lot of the data, because right now data is being stored on the cloud, which is very centralized, and people are able to sell your information and things like that. And so I hope this was very helpful. This is not financial advice. I just wanted to share some of these things that I'm looking into and that you all can consider looking looking into as well, because this could be the investment of our lifetime. Many people missed out on Web 1.0 investments and Web 2.0 investments. And so I know for me, as this is happening in my generation, I am not trying to miss out on Web 3.0 investments. And so I want to thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you all have a great day. All right, peace.